What's good, YouTube and Twitch? We're live to both with a tier list of every single card and Duel Overload, but not by potential necessarily, but what I think will happen with the prices, a little predictions on short printing, but that's still speculation, and seeing what could be worth equal to or greater than the MSRP of this product, along with the other chase cards, and finding out if your tastes are trash slash bulk to me, if I think they won't end up being worth a whole lot versus what the set has to offer. Because at MSRP, you're spending $1 per card, and a lot of vendors are going to be selling some of these cards at just quarters to try to get money back. Because let's get into the vendor price. Vendors are spending $16.50 per box times 12 boxes. This is if you're a store, if you're working with a distro, they're spending $198 on their cases. So divide that, you know, right here by 360 cards that they'll be pulling out of that case. They're spending 55 cents a card. They're going to clamor over each other at that 16.5 box range, and prices might be a lot lower than you would think on many cards, just like Duel Power last year. So let's go ahead and get into what cards I think. So first off, we have Cyber Emergency. This held a $30 price point. We see Naster original to Duel Power is towards $7-8 after all this time and multiple waves of buyouts. This is a reprint. This is a second printing of this card. I still think people will be after it in playsets, thus upping the demand, but I don't think it's bulk, but I do think it might sit more towards $1.50 as people like go towards it. I'm gonna put it towards the $2 range here. Maybe it ups towards $3, a $10 playset later. Ultra Zephyros, yep, he is straight bulk from a $20 heralded holofoil version of a really cool combo card. Nobody's going to be chasing this down out the gate. It has upward potential in the future, but while this set is out the gate, it's going to be treated as bulk. Oh, and let's face this. The only reason the secret rare is up there is it's collectible that's in Dark Magician Girl's hands oh so many times. Now we get a new fusion for a good old Starving Venom Boy that produces counters and does other stuff like that. I'm going to lean towards a bulk on this boy. He's a really cool card. I think he looks nice. I think he's in the $1 and under range. Speedroids always have potential to me. I freak out about Speedroids. I think this will be underestimated from the get-go, though. I think it'll be $1 or under versus a lot of the other value in the set. Oh, Cubics, get out of here. Cubic, just stop. I believe this is the Abyss Actor Link, if I'm not mistaken. I think some people are looking forward to this one, but I don't think it's going to be chased after like Celine or anything. I think it ends up here. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what this card is. Feel free to chew me out, boys, but I don't think this is gonna have too much value. I know this guy was like playmat for YCS Japan. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what he is either. I'm biased. My Discord really likes Melodious, and I think they have a ton of upward potential. What is this? Why during the video?
It took us almost 30 minutes to set this up because Papa has gotten too old and blind. Bible thump.
Wow, thanks. I appreciate it. But I do think, despite all the gas behind this, it unfortunately ends up here. Because look at the Aroma Seraphie link. It's $2 with everything coming out right now in Duel Power. And it was gassed up so much heading towards that set. So even things with high potential ends up in bulk. I don't know what this card is. I read this card with high hopes. It's also bulk. Gigaplant, no one's chasing you now. Now this one, I think ends up, I think it has the potential to be 5, but as people clamor over each other's bodies and as vendors, I think it's going to be 3-2 early on. It's a very, very good card, but I don't think it's going to be a top everything. I want to call it at 5, but I have to put it under. I got to say it's going to be towards 3. Is this the Mecha Phantom Beast? What is, chat, let me know what this is, if it's the Mecha Phantom Beast or what this is. We get to one of our first really chase cards. One of our first, the Predaplant Anaconda. I think, with how vendors are clamoring over each other, this has a very high upward ceiling as we look towards Dragoon. But just like other releases, those vendors have an overhead. They have to pay employees. They need to get their money back on the set and get their pluses out of their nickels, dimes, quarters, whatever it may be. I am going to call this being around 15 to 18 after all the dust settles, and 2 weeks after the set of vendors climbing over each other's bodies. I think it has really good stuff for Shadol and Invoke. I think it has a lot of upward potential to be the chase card in the set in the future. Like, in the future, I see it being up here. But as the set releases, as everybody has it in their hand, as we get 2 weeks away from the set having been out there, I call it being at this and maybe even getting one of its first buyouts towards them. Oh, the Buster Link. Oh, is this... I don't think you specifically need this to be really cool. I want to put it in this tier so bad, but I think it ends up in the dollar or less bin. Sky Strikers. Everybody wants a second chance at that. I think just for the name Sky Striker ends up at 2 to 3, but it could fall towards bulk. We got Double Evolution Pill, and it has upward potential thanks to the Croc Boy coming out in Eternity Code, but I think it's in the dollar range. People aren't playing it right now. It has upward potential to be 2 to 3, but I think just for how chased out after it is, it's gonna end up in the dollar or less bin. Oh yeah. All right. We already know. We already know what Giraffe Gang. Celine, I think, is at 5. I think you'll get Triff yelling enough about her, enough people turning their head her way. She does a lot for Pendulums, 2 under negates, and people still want to play Pendulums in the Master Rule. I think she has the potential to be a 5. I want to put her towards 3 almost out the gate. I feel like there will be a lot of sleeper agents, but Triff's already going to let you know, and I think people's eyes will be towards there. Not gonna lie, is this one of the Cubics or the Malefics? If I don't know what it is, it's not important, right, Winky Face? Good ol' Alentheo. Good ol' Alentheo. When there's over 30 links, even if you're a fan favorite, a lot's gonna end up down here. Oh, Mirage, this is a hard call. I think he's gonna be like 350. I need about 350. I want to say towards 5. I really do, but just because he's not like the most insane enabler, his purpose is literally link fodder, not as like an inboard or anything, and he's a one of in the extra deck. I think he ends up at like the 350-250 range, honestly. Witchcrafters. Ooh, I almost want to say 2 to 3 for this card. I almost do. But I think the other cards go up and this becomes like $1 to $2. Like, can the waifu tax really do it? I've underestimated the waifu tax so many times. I'm going to put it at 2 to be safe, but I honestly think it falls down here. I really do. I just have a feeling, even though it's a really good card for the archetype, I have a feeling. Yeah, this Fright for Mary, it's not the best. Okay, Charmers keep getting a ton of stuff. A ton of stuff. We know there's a structure coming, so I think long-term it ends up here. Immediately it may be underestimated, but there's so many products in the OCG, and I pay attention to the OCG, it tells me it ends up here eventually, but at 2-start probably underestimated. It's the 4 Charmer waifu tax. Gosh dang it. I can't underestimate. I'm damaged for life as a Market Watch boy. Damage for life as a Market Watch boy. The Magic Bullets easily end up at bulk. Look at Max and how accessible he is. Smile. Seriously, I think these end up as bulk out of this set. The Bujin Link, I think, will have some gas to him as the generic Xyz Link among the Predaplant and other things. Probably 2 to 3. I don't think it's going to necessarily stay up, but I think it's better than bulk. Puma. This is a tough one. This is a tough one. I think it ends up here. It was only $6-7. I think his price is probably ruined by this set. Swap Frog, people are going to want in trios that are picking him up and want him over the common. And the common was even at $2 to $3, but I think immediately he sits at $1. The vendors are making money when they stamp, add it in your order. They're making money at $1, and I think they'll want to try to hold there. But that's under the 2 to 4 range. I think eventually he's a $10 playset way down the road if it doesn't get more reprints. Artifact Link. This is highly underestimated. I want to say he ends up at 5, but out the gate, like, I want to say he ends up in this range. I really do. I really think he's one of the better cards in this set. But how will people approach this? I think he has potential to be up here, honestly. But I guess conservatively calling at 5, being careful. Is this the Alien Link? Is that what this boy is? Alien Link, get out of here. Anything Malefic or Cubic, I'm sorry. Not sorry, you're picking it up cheap, hopefully. Probably ends up in this range, unless there's short printing involved. Relinquished Anima, I gotta reread this, actually. I gotta pull this up. Relinquished Anima. I know, live editing done cheap, that's not gonna happen. Let's read this boy together. This is a level 1 monster except a token, so you cannot use tokens for this. You can target one face-up monster this card points to, equip that monster. You can only use this effect once per turn. This card gains attack equal to that monster's, but it points towards the opponent. It does not give you a downward pointing arrow to transition through. Still a decent effect depending on how your opponent leaves their board up. I could see it getting some gas and hype, but out the gate, probably. I really like this though. I really like this, but without certain cards like Summon Sorcerers. For sure turn plus, no, it doesn't end up here. I do think it's better than Bulk though. I think it's better than Bulk a little bit, but by how much? I don't think it ends up there. No way. Last Warrior from Another Planet has upward mobility because of GOAT format. It's a penny stock that I would get out the gate, but a lot of people are going to undersell this early on. Is this the Sacred Beast fusion? I think because of the structure deck, it ends up here maybe later if it's not in the structure, but for now here, if that's the card that it is. The Gussto Emerald. So many people are going to want this for past formats. It's still a good card, but for out the gate, it's going to be towards $1. Compulse easily, bulk. I probably should have had a $1 range, just a dollar pile instead of bulk. I think they're two different things here, because there's cards that are going to be a quarter and cards that are going to be $1, and they're two very different things. When and now I say that starting this video. Dark Lord Link, very looked forward to. I don't think it surpasses $1 after 2 weeks. This ends up in bulk. Omega, very welcome. A lot of people are going to want this card. I think when it first got its reprint, it was towards 6 when it was super accessible. Out of Battles of Legend, and you pretty much got it out of every pack. But this is another printing. I think it sits towards 350 to 4. I think it'll be around 3, maybe even. This heads towards the bulk pile, even as a hollow form. Let's skip ahead. Let's take care of some guys. Ancient Gear Link, yeah, it's down here. I don't know who this is. DDD Link. I'm pretty sure Mecha Phantom Beast Link. Don't know who you are, but you look intimidating. Needle Fiber. Let's get to the meat and potatoes of this conversation. So even if a card is shorted, that's a chase card. Let's say it's horrendously shorted. Out of 2 cases at MSRP at $720, and you have 700 cards. Or 720 cards for your $720. So divide by the 100 cards that are in the set. You should, on average, pull 7.2 of each out of 2 cases of this product. Now, if something is short printed, and why we mentioned 720 is that's the average MSRP of a real case. If we're looking at Needle Fiber here versus this pull, let's say it's horrendously shorted. Let's say it's real bad. It's towards Konami's worst standards of short printing. You're going to pull it at a 40% rate of a normal pull. That's still almost a playset per case. It's close. So you're looking at, if you open a case, you're either getting 1 or 2. Probably not a set. And that's assuming it ends up in this position. Wow. 3 of them, but versus all the other estimated value pulled of a case, I think he still leads. I think he's going to be our first boy that goes up to the very top section and leads, at least out the gate. I think these two are interchangeable, depending on the time and place, but versus people needing to make their money back immediately versus other people opening this, typically we see a $30 card reign supreme. Impermanence in the past, reprints in the past. I think this ends up towards here. Golden Castle is a really cool engine. I'll call this, people will chase after this in playsets. It was only expensive because it was shorted, but I think it ends up towards like 2 to 3. It could end up in the dollar pile. Very well could end up in the dollar pile, but I think it'll be better. All right, here's one of the boys that is super hyped, and I think because of that, this will float between 3.5 to 5. I'm going to call early on more people clamoring after it than there should be, and vendors wanting to hold the line together on it. But I think it could easily fall down in this 3.5 pile as well. Sign Up Mining. None of the Yugi tubers pulled it. Euro ratios will be different than USA ratios. Oh boy, this is a hard one to pinpoint. Cybers, generally people will be after playsets of these. If it is shorted, I call it towards the 10 pile. If it is not shorted USA, I call it towards the $20 playset pile. I think it'll hover 10, and I think secret rares are starting to look a little yummier at their current prices. Speaking of yummy, here's a card that was 40 to 50 because of its rarity. I think because of that old price tag, I would initially have thought to put it here. I think like the Necros stuff, just like the Necros stuff, the Madolche stuff's gonna end up more towards the $2 pile than the dollar pile. Like, even if it's over time, like maybe it starts out at $1 when everybody's nosediving. I think as we get the new cards, the new releases, more people looking at this, I think it ends up in the $2.53 pile, and people will be after full playsets of her, probably only 1 or 2 of her. So Magdalene actually, as the searcher, has the higher ceiling, even though this had the higher price. More of this stuff. Plant stuff has upward mobility. I think this could be $1 to $2, but look, again, I know I keep quoting this. Aromatherapy Jasmine, that's kind of a look that you get this. Am I underestimating this? Probably. All right, Union Carrier, the insane Wombo combo boy, I think ends up 10 plus, maybe towards 12 to 15 early on. But whenever I say estimated value pulled, think of the vendors that are spending $16.50 on these packs versus your 30, or if you use, you know, my tier 0 code and got yourself cheaper packs, even the average consumer could have got cheaper cards, right? When we look at cards like this, while they're insane, how many duelists are going to play them in their decks? How many people will go towards here? I say it's high, might be towards 15 early on. I think it'll dip towards 10 to 12, depending on how many are using it. Maybe all the way to 8, and then it starts to rebound again. So I think depending on where it falls in the money that's being dumped into the set singles versus just its sealed, it probably rests up here, but under this card, and maybe ahead of this card, depending on it. The Hero Boy. The Hero, it has Hero in its name. That stops it from here, right? That puts it towards 2. I don't think everyone's going to be, like, even with Heroes, though, because you have to use the vanillas and stuff. Will any of the Alter Arts make it? I love this discussion. I think Levianeer ends up towards the 350 to 5 pile. I think it eventually creeps towards the 5 pile, but out the gate will go all the way down here. People will want full playsets of this. They'll want to have access to it, even in its Alter Art form. It's an insane card. But I think $10 playsets for this for a while. I really want to say it's worth 5 though, plus out the gate. Alter Art Tour Guide, I think because of who she is, could end up above $1 towards $2. I think it's maybe towards $2.50. People will want this initially from this set, but we've seen even with classics like the Alter Art Ghost Girls and Ghost Ogre that being guaranteed, of course, is different than an RNG and a $100, $30 MSRP set. Like 100 different cards to pull out of $30 MSRP. I think this eventually ends up here, but could early on be $1. Deck Lockdown, what a great card. Pick up when people let this go for quarters, pick yours up. It will eventually float back in. If I'm honest, don't know what you do too much. People are gassing this one up. People are really gassing this one up because of that, and the Joey factor, maybe a 250. That has to be bull. It's just gotta be. I recall this being good. Tell me which one this is, chat. Tell me which one she is. This one's getting a lot of hype. I could see this towards 5, but I think towards 250 to 3 early on. Remember, you're paying $1 per card, so that 250 early on is definitely what people are going towards. The OG printing of Levianeer looks better, says some people. Unsubbed mod. Oh no, goodbye my mod. Goodbye. So Morg is super. I think this card could be 5. I think it could end up here. A lot of people are gassing it up, but I think early on it starts here. Reptilian Link. What is the Reptilian Link? Is she actually the hype? I remember people telling me something about her. Reptilian Link. Or is it just that she's a mommy and that's what I remember? Emily, please don't watch this video. Reptilian Link, Yu-Gi-Oh! We have ourselves little education going on, chat. Live editing done cheap. Totally, happening. 2 monsters, including a reptile monster, ouchies. If this card's link summoned, you can target a face-up monster your opponent controls. Its attack becomes 0. No negation of effect there. During your main phase, you can add a number of reptile monsters. Oh, it searches on top versus they control. Also cannot special summon monster for the extra deck. Yeah, well, it does seem to have a big upward ceiling in the future. And she's a mommy. I'm sorry, there's not enough scalies in Yu-Gi-Oh! I remember this early on. Naruto Strong Headband probably ends up towards the $1 and under range. I think this card is trash. I think this card is a worse Dark Ruler no more. I'm not giving it the light of day. I get that it can force a negate. It can seem kind of cool. It's like a weaker Mystic Mind combined with a weaker Dark Ruler no more. I think it ends up here. All right, the question of the day. If this isn't shorted, I'm going to give you two ranges on this. If it isn't shorted, you're looking at over 7 of them per case. You're looking at this many per case if this is not shorted, but people will still drive after it in playsets. Meaning that this will be towards the 10 to 15 range, even if it is in the unshorted range. Now, if it is shorted, if it is around a playset per 720 spent, and when I say per case, my bad, this is per 2 cases. 7.2 is 2 cases. Let me be very clear. 2 cases is 7.2 because 720 cards divided by 100. I'm bursting it the average MSRP of other things. So, with Impermanence being an important card here, I think if it is shorted, they're $20 again because it's its next printing. Remember when it's in dual power? As the chase card, it was 30. As a reprint, if it is shorted, I think the playsets and versus everything else pulled, they'll be towards 20 and maybe 18s. So maybe a double rest here. We'll have to see. Kagari, you look really badass. People will want you in playsets, but I think you're $1. This is easy bulk. I really like this card, but it's a trap. It's too slow. You're too slow. Ends up here. I don't think people, even though I respect the Speedroids a lot, I don't think they'll be sought after earlier. Even though this gave Sarah a ton of hype, I don't think she'll be sought after too much early on, even as a world premiere. Nice to see this. Hopefully this means some kind of Mystic Mine hit or something like that. This also ends up in early bulk, maybe underestimated, something to get in the future. I think it'll be $1 out the gate, and it'll be worth $3 later on. I would definitely think this ends up towards here later, because almost every single holo foil version of a Skull Servant something ends up in price. They're so freaking collectible. So I think early on, underestimated. I think it ends up in here long term. Tenyi Link, right? That's what you are here. This was only money because it was super shorted in Battles of Legend. Nobody's going to be really too hard after this card. Sarveus, I think it mirrors Skullmeister in a lot of places, and that Skullmeister got its reprint. People were saying, get it. I was saying, get it. Hold on to it. Even though there's low quantities on market, it maintains a low price. I think Sarveus, it will take a long time to get back up to anywhere near there. Another holo printing of Deinamiscus. Kind of weird. Madame Bear, I think, ends up down here. I think Zombie World, fan favorite, could be worth $1. The Ultra was 15 before. People started to overvalue them. So maybe even towards here eventually. But for now, it'll be treated down here. I'm going to be honest, don't know what this card is. I think people are looking forward to this card. I know there's people in this chat watching looking forward to this card. Just because it's a holo upgrade to a card, look at all the Battles of Legend cards, doesn't mean immediately it will be worth something even as a fan favorite. This is the Rose Reborn. There's a new plant archetype that it works with very well as a searcher. I think as that comes out of the Secret Slayers very soon after this, people might be after this card. But for now, I mean, that's still in the 2-week range after this release. I don't think that it's necessarily going to become meta or anything like that. And please stop spamming the chat on that level. You're literally banned from the channel. Smile. Straight in video. Hope you enjoyed that. These end up towards bulk. I've quoted this. I think it ends up as in $5 or lower. 5 or lower. Because even though it's a great generic 8, even though it's a really cool last minute reprint in here, I think that versus all the other estimated value pulled and chase cards, that it ends up here. And I think that's kind of like the same place All Mirage. It bounces between these two in my mind. But this, I think, ends up in a lot more places than All Mirage overall in the future. So maybe I'm mistaken to put them this way right now. But we'll see how that turns out. Don't know who you are. I'm sorry. And finally, the Alter Art Infinity. Infinity is such a cool card. Almost every version of it goes up over time. I could see this being 2 to 3 out the gate. And then, but versus all the other estimated value pulled that easily could end up here, I'm giving a lot of credit to these Alter Arts besides Kagari, aren't I? Phantasme, the man of the hour. So I think early on, people are going to try to get 15s to 20s out of him. We've seen the secret stabilize. You're running into the new Master Rule. I think long-term, this is the way better hold, but it can also start to end up in structure decks and other places like Ash Blossom did. Konami could easily start to treat this like Ash Blossom and not treat this the same way because it won't be in the same demand. There's a lot of back and forth in my mind when I approach this set versus these two. I think early on, it ends up towards 15. I think people who were waiting for this will clamor towards it, but I think eventually it starts to fall towards 12 to 10. Still within this range, still within this pile, but it becomes more of a side option than a main deck choice. It ends up not as played, And long term, I think we'll continue to go downwards, but for now, I think at the beginning ends up in this range. Again, we're assuming some short printing, we're assuming a lot of things, and we're assuming one card will manage to beat the product, and I think between these two it'll be it, with the Dark Horse being the Union carrier for it. But overall, I think this is how everything shapes up. Let me know what you guys disagree with or agree with in chat. You've been here the whole time, 25 freaking minutes of this video, with my reasoning not being the most in-depth, and I don't know this card for some of that. It really goes certain ways. Ash took 3 years. Let me counter that point real quick. When Ash got its reprint, which is what's happening to Impermanence, is where it started to get sold other places. So Ash got announced Ultra again for its 4th printing in a March set, after already being in a March set and sold in a side set, and then it ended up in a starter deck right away. So this is from Flood. This has been out a while. This is, you know, its 3rd printing. Konami can start to put it different. Relinquished Anima is also short print. We don't know that. We don't know the shorts yet, boys. So this is all speculation based off short printing. Konami could short 7 cards, 10 cards, 12 cards. We don't know yet.
One of the cards you didn't talk about was Army Roll, the Star Guide Dragon.
The Star Guide Dragon. Let me see here. The Star Guide Dragon. Fine, we'll do our research. Star Guide Dragon. Is this the guy that's on the cover of the YCS mat I talked about? He is. All right. Maybe I have an opinion to change here and be educated very in the video. 2 effect monsters, so very easy to make, cannot be used as a link material, so he does not have an upward ceiling in that fashion. You can target one face-up monster this card points to, special summon a monster with the same original level from your hand in face-up defense, so it has to be defense to the card it points to, negates the effects. Oof. You can only, it's an enabler to continue link summoning and maybe even synchro summoning, but the fact that he gets stuck up there in the extra monster zone, I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan, but he is a better enabler than I thought. I'll give him that. He's a better enabler than I thought. Maybe up there. Last minute, actually learning a card does something you think is cool is hard. I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going to stick to them. Anyways, thank you guys for watching so much through all this video. If you have, let me know if you have different reasonings on certain cards. Do you think I have some things too low, like generic Xyz power, that should be 5+, and how things will turn out. This is a very early call. This is not taking too many short prints into account besides what we assume Konami would go after. There could be 7, there could be 10. We don't know how many short prints are in the side sets or what they'll choose, what could be choked up towards $10 because of shorting. All we can do is wait and see. Please use my TCG player link in the description down below, costing you nothing extra and supporting the channel directly if you're shopping over there. And also use my code What'sGood5 over at Tier 0 if you're hunting this down sealed. I still think, even though you may think I'm being harsh on this, versus all the vendors clamoring over each other at the price they're getting it at, this is still amazing, even MSRP value. A healthy set has a card that's worth as much or more than the product you're opening, and then so many different things versus how many cards you're getting per pack, 30 cards per pack. For this many cards to be above $1 or at $1 for your money back, that's really freaking good.